Core. You are listening to Core, a show on Code Zero Radio that plays bands located in the Fox Cities, a show to find and discover new music. Hosted by Andy McNamara.
Thank you for tuning in to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. If this is your first time tuning in, Code Zero Radio is a streaming internet station. We feature a lot of bands from the Fox Cities, play a lot of great rock music. We've got a vast schedule of shows, a little something for everybody. You can listen to us by downloading our Code Zero Radio app, or you can listen to us at live.codezeroradio.com, or ask to play Code Zero Radio on TuneIn on your smart speaker. Well, over the years, Ian Thomson has been working to change the landscape of the Fox Cities music scene. Ian's work behind the scenes have put the pieces in place to bring many different musicians to the area. He is the festival director for Intercoastal Musicways. He's also a talent buyer for Mile of Music. I'd like to welcome Ian to Fox Cities Core. How are you doing today, Ian?
Amazing. Thank you for having me, Andy. This is awesome. Really,
Well,
I've been listening to this for quite some time, so it's cool to be a part of it. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you coming in. I know it is kind of early, especially for people in the music business. And how is it? Are you a morning person or?
No. No, but we're all getting older, so late nights seem to be less and less.
Well, and your wife works, and shout out to your wife as well, Jess. She also works in the music industry. So you guys probably have sort of schedules that match, I'm guessing.
Yeah, a little bit more so now. I mean, Jess has recently taken over McFleshman's as their taproom and event manager, which I'm so happy for her to be in that role and being empowered and given the opportunity to be creative. So it's really cool to see her, stepping into the light.
We'll have to have Jess on one of these days too.
Yeah, she would love that.
Morning, Jess. So let's talk about how you got involved in the music industry. Was that something that you were always involved in, or was it something that you got interested in later in your life?
Yeah, it's been a very interesting, somewhat organic path. I mean, my background is actually in supply chain and logistics planning. Which is what brought me out here from Allentown, Pennsylvania. We moved out here about 14 and a half years ago, and for a supply chain management role. And Milo Music came along. I mean, I've always been a fan of music, going to shows. I mean, I've been going to shows since I was 14, and been big in the festivals. Jess and I travel the country to go see festivals or go see shows. So when you have something that's in your own backyard, that's starting and taking shape, you kind of want to be involved in it, and you have a curiosity of what it's going to be. So we jumped in to be volunteers the first year of Milo Music, and I kind of just, I guess, back then they were kind of like relying on some of the community to help them with some things. We would meet regularly as little groups, breakout groups, and talk about other things that are happening in the country. And then because my experiences of going as an attendee to festivals, I think that's kind of led into eventually just volunteering with them for the first couple of years, then into a contract position, and then eventually getting hired on full time. Yeah.
So as far as Mile Music goes, so you've been in it since the beginning.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. How has it changed since it started? Because when it started, I know there was some growing pains as far as ticketed shows, some non-ticketed shows, and then it changed the year after. Was there a lot of talk after the first year about simplifying it, or what do you think caused the change to kind of the festival that we ended up?
I think it was. I mean, I wasn't really involved in those planning discussions, being just a volunteer at that specific point in time. But I just looking at what Dave's vision was for it. I just think he wanted it to continue to be, free and accessible to every member of this community, or any community rather. And I think that's still true to this day to be an important mission statement for us, and how we continue to evolve. And I think that's probably, I could just see, in those discussions that, maybe the ticketing aspect of it, because if I remember correctly, it wasn't fully ticketed. It was like ticketed for certain
Right.
shows or certain elements of the festival. And I think that's kind of where the Music Maker program, evolved then too, to support the festival and things that we're doing year round. So it's more of a subscriber base now, which is cool, and it's a really really cool program.
If we've got anybody watching right now that's not familiar with Milo Music, can you explain exactly what this festival is?
Yeah, yeah. This festival, it's I like to look at it like we're like a triple A. We are a major North American music festival now, but kind of in that AAA realm, or if you watch Ted Lasso, one under the Premier League. Um, uh, Basically, what we do, we're an artist-focused, community-forward festival, and by that it means that we put on, 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. It is about 200 artists playing 650 sets of original music over the course of that 4 days, and about 40 venues within our downtown Appleton component, like our neighborhood, downtown Appleton neighborhood, and our riverfront. 100% free to attend, 100% sponsorship driven, and that's where the community comes in. That's why we say community forward, because the community steps up to support the festival financially, and also in many other ways. We have what's called the Artist Care Program, and the community stepped up to create that. And that is a program that, if you're a performing artist or a sound engineer for the festival, then you have access to services such as free dental care, audiology care, skin care, massage therapy, and mental health as well.
And then the music makers are so important. Uh, if somebody is interested in being a music maker, what do they have to do?
Yeah, well, the Music Maker program is just like I said, it's kind of a subscriber based program. We give perks, throughout the year for some other shows that Dave has going on, through the Mile Music Presents component, and then it gives them some perks during the festival itself. So basically, if you want to subscribe to a music maker, you just go to milomusic.com, and then there's a tab there for music makers. Just click on that, and then it'll give you all the information, and then a button to subscribe.
It sort of gives you an insider, kind of a line to being an insider with, maybe you get the special, like you said, the shows, admissions, and
Yeah,
if there's any last minute pop-up shows, in the past, they've sent out some last minute updates so that you could be in the know.
yeah. It really, like, for the lineups for the festival, you're the first to know. So we'll send out an email to all the music makers that say, here's the next batch of artists being announced. Same thing with other shows. You might have a discount or a first to buy for some shows that they're doing.
And it is cool. I was a music maker a couple of years, and it is nice when you're walking up and down the Ave. You can pop into wherever the music maker lounge is and grab a water or a snack or something, and then hit back, get back out on the street and start checking out more music.
Right. Yeah, it's fun.
Has the participation in the music makers gone up, gone down, stayed about the same?
I think it stayed about the same. I mean, I think this year we've definitely seen an increase over the last few years, which is really cool. And again, it's just a testament to the people's thirst for live music and to support the things that we're doing. Especially coming back out of a pandemic time frame. So
Well, there's so much that goes into this festival. Probably way more than we could talk about in this hour, and probably way more than I even can imagine goes on. But what is around this time? So we're about 3 months out. What right now is the most challenging thing that the team is working through?
it's I could speak more so to myself, and what I have going on. Right now, I'm starting to lay out the schedule which is always kind of a challenge. You're putting together 650 performance sets, like I mentioned before. So just laying that out. So if you follow along with me on my socials, I kind of, you know, tease a little bit on how the process is. So basically I just take and put, I call them boards, or there's papers on the wall, and take sticky notes. And it's a lean process. I'm very, in tune to lean. So it's a lean process. You get all the bands, you put them on stickers and put their names up on each piece of paper as a venue with their times. And so right now that's kind of the challenge, if you will. I mean, it's fun, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge for me.
Do you get a lot of last minute changes every year, bands that for whatever reason have to drop out, and then you're looking at plugging holes?
It used to happen more frequently years ago than it does now. I think now it, especially last year, I mean, with COVID, anything, it's a wild card now. I mean, looking at this year's lineup, there's several artists that will be in Europe directly before Milo Music. So I'm a bit nervous because I just can imagine, the week leading up, I'm going to get a couple of calls. But yeah, it definitely can happen. And then, I think as terms of the schedule goes, the most challenging is knowing, like, certain bands have different members playing in different projects. So knowing that ahead of time is great and then we make a note saying, okay, like, this person is also playing in this project. So we got to make sure, like, their schedules.
That's a good point, because you've got, just for an example, you've got like Christopher Gold, who is probably playing solo, and then he's got his other band.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to work out the logistics of
making
not
sure,
double
like,
booking.
Yeah, make sure that they, we provide them with enough time in between their sets. So especially, people that, you don't want them to blow their voice out. So it's just being respectful of their time and giving them enough space in between their sets.
Well, I think you've restructured it the last couple Mile Musics, where you try to do that, like, space out bands performances a little bit more. I remember the years back, like you would see people running down the street because they were trying to get to the next show.
It was insanity. Yeah, and that was the other thing too, to kind of look at the plan overall, and looking to tailor this thing back in the number of sets, which is what we book. It's the inventory we have. A lot of people say, well, how many artists? And it's not necessarily about the total number of artists. It's more so about the number of sets. So if you can curate it in a way that you're bringing the set totals down or spacing them out. You talked about years ago, we would have, I think it was 10 minutes in between each acoustic set and 20 minutes in between each band set. The pandemic year, we said, okay, well, let's, last year, we looked to curb that to 35 minutes across the board. This year it's 30 minutes. We feel that 30-minute for each acoustic and full band is a good sweet spot, and it gives enough time for the stage to turn over. It gives the artists a little bit more time to sell merch. Gives the venues a little bit more time to just settle before the next set begins. Yeah, so it works out.
Bands do sell a lot of merch at Mile Music. I think that is just an additional perk.
Mm-hmm.
The festival seems to bring out music lovers that want to buy stuff. They want to, like, buy into the bands, which is great. And everybody wants to be the first one to discover a band.
Yeah.
You've got every year a few individuals post their lists of who we should go see. And you've got the lists that you post, Scott, Steve Smith, lots of people.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that makes it exciting, is that sense of discovery. And you mentioned that you and Jess like to travel and go to different festivals and shows. Is it, like, really important to you when you're watching a show somewhere? Are you thinking in the back of your mind, can I get these guys to Appleton?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of why I do what, why we do what we do. We get out there and, we're seeing a show, whether it's, it's on a cruise ship in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean, and you're watching a band play. And, that's always the first thought of, like, wow, this band will absolutely crush it in Appleton, and people would fall in love with them. And it is part of the selling point, and that's that goes back to the community forward element, as I mentioned, is that our community and our audience that comes to Milo Music, or any show in Appleton, they support the artist. And when I say they're supporting them in other ways, I meant also by buying merch. And like the CD is still a viable thing here in Appleton. So when I'm talking to artists, or their teams, I'm like, make sure you order CDs. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, just spend $100, get 100 CDs or whatever, and bring them with you, because you're gonna sell them out. Because people, even if they don't have the CD player, they still support the band by buying the CD, and which is it's cool, and it's part of that Midwest nice, I think, which is such a key element for our artists and what we're doing here. Because if we can't treat them well, and if we don't start treating them better, or elevating the hospitality for the artists, then we simply won't have Milo Music, because they're not going to come back. And it's a big reason why they want to come back, or a big reason why a new artist, like if I'm you know on the Caribbean Sea watching a band, and I go over and talk to them, they're like, wait, Appleton, yes, like I know that. I've my drummers played in a band that's played there, or my keyboard played in a band a few years ago, or whatever it is. But they all know it because of that hospitality component of it, because they're treated so well here. And the community steps up and supports them in so many ways, and it's cool.
When a band does perform at Mile Music for the first time, and you run into them after the show, uh, are you met with sometimes just the kind of like the feeling that the band did not know what they were kind of stepping into? Like, we're just going to go play this festival. Then they get here and they're like, holy crap, this thing is huge. And the people are crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
that does happen. I can always hope that happens. We hope that they have a good time and a good experience with it. I mean, that's ultimately the end goal, right? Is to make sure that they're happy and having fun, right? I mean, to play is to have fun. So we always encourage, just have fun with it and go out and play. And if your friends are here, then get up and play with your friends. And we encourage collaborations, and yeah, just have fun with. So we're hoping that that they have a good experience and are blown away by it too.
I I want to get more into when you were younger, but I want to say that I really love the Mile of Music 9 poster. I don't know who designed it, but I love the look of it.
Yeah, I'm loving it too. I just give a shout out to Laura, Tim, and Andrew Pearson. They're our design team, and they just crushed it. And I mean, if you like that, I mean, wait till you see our merch line for this year. It's going to be amazing. Just the concept they had for the poster and for the whole look of the festival this year. It's unbelievable. I'm just so happy to work with such talented people, and it's inspiring to get a chance to work with those folks every day. And if you saw, like when we're announcing the lineups too, you saw the little graphic cards that the artists have. That's all them too.
That's a part of the excitement, I think, every year of Mile is seeing what the design's going to be
Yeah.
on those cards, and then it's the poster rollout and everything.
Hmm.
Are there a lot of people that collect those posters? Do you know of a lot of people that
I don't
have
know.
a
I'm looking
complete
around
set?
your room
Well, I've
here.
got, I'm missing a couple, but
Oh,
I've
I can
got.
bring you some. I didn't know, but yeah.
I'd appreciate that. Well, we'll get back to Mile. We've got a lot to talk about. So you said you started seeing shows when you were 14. What kind of music were you into when you were 14?
Oh, my first show, my very first show was Cinderella and Ace Frehley, or Ace Frehley actually opened for Cinderella.
I I like Cinderella. How was that show? And was that one that got you addicted to that live music right away, or did it just kind of whet your appetite
Yeah,
to
I
see
think
more?
I was always listening to the radio. When I was a kid, my parents loved to travel as well, and you know, I just always would be in the backseat of the car just listening to the radio. So that as a wee lad has always gotten me just interested in music. And then finally getting out to see a live shows, it was like, wow, what is this? And just kind of blown away by that live experience. And there's something about live music. I mean, it really does bring us together. Even though the world right now is a toilet. it still able to bring us all together, and it is scientifically proven to make us 100% happy. And that's what always my argument is of when there's weather. If the bands are safe, that's definitely the most important component. But if they're still being, if it's safe for them, come out and see a show. And because you go to see the Packers in rain, sleet, freezing cold, snow, and you're only 50% guaranteed to be happy. I mean, that's 100% guaranteed to be happy going to see live music. So and it's really music and food. I believe it's the only two elements we have as human beings that bring us together culturally, and it brings all these different cultures and all these different things together, and it kind of forces us to be in a space together and enjoy each other, and that's pretty special to me.
Traveling around and seeing shows, you got involved with Milo Music, and then you started kind of branching off and networking more. I know you were a part of a kind of, I don't know if it was weekly, but it was a Zoom kind of online chat about the music industry with some other people that were involved in the music scene. And then you started doing something called the Intercoastal Musicways.
Yeah, yeah. So that's not fully out there yet. But so I just kind of start from that from the beginning there. So the pandemic, we're all just kind of like, what are we doing? How are we? How are you? And
And that was the chats.
yeah, yeah. The mental health chat. It's just mental health check, and they're just kind of also chatting because we had no idea what what was happening or what was going to happen. So it was a way with Adrian plus Meredith, who I manage, for us to get out there, and just have open conversation about what's going on, what are we seeing, how long is this thing going to last, and oh, so we were not so naive back then. We were like, 3 months, we'll be back to it, or, whatever. Or I'm hearing, a year, like, gasp, a year, oh, no way. 18 months. Who says 18 months, but yeah, and here we are. But, that was kind of the catalyst. And then in May of 2020, some other managers and I got together, and it was 7 of us. We created a management collective called Jastic. Doesn't mean anything. It's just the first initial of our first names. And we were having a Zoom call similar to the Adrian Meredith type calls with other managers. So we had about 30 managers on the call every other week, from all different levels. We had, baby bands to mid-level bands to like, Rihanna Giddens' management team, or Andy DeFranco's management team was jumping on every now and then. And I'm so humbled to be a part of that collective, because as a new person to the management world, there's no egos, there's no attitudes. It's just all of us working together as a collective to help each other. And then that kind of led me to start thinking about, the whole management side of what I jumped in to start doing. And, as you look out a window, when you're sitting at home, you look out your window at a whole world of opportunity, and your reflection staring back at you. You just start feeling like, well, there could be other things that could be done, and you can go out and do other things. You don't have to be focused on just this one thing. And then I decided to start my own management company or business, and I called it Intercoastal Musicways. And it's a nod to where I spent my summers as a child, down in a small little town called Coinjock, North Carolina, which is right on the Intercoastal Waterway. And then my grandmother had a house right on that canal. And my dad and his family were from Virginia Beach, and so Coinjock is about an hour south of Virginia Beach, an hour north of Nags Head, the Outer Banks. So, if you're not familiar with the Intercoastal Waterway, it's a waterway system that you can take, that jets pretty much inland and outland a little bit, and you can take it from pretty much like right around the Galveston, Texas area, all the way up to almost Maine. So it's a pretty interesting. You look it up. It's a really interesting waterway system. So just going back to where I spent my kid, my time as a kid, that decided to give a little nod to that and call it Intercoastal Musicways.
That's pretty cool.
Nothing fully official yet, but soon.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got the experience with what you've been doing, so you'll have kind of more control over, bookings and stuff like that.
Yeah. Hopefully, I could lead into, not only the management side of things, but booking, promoting, and consulting too. Yeah.
Well, this is a segment in the show called Band Reaction. It's where we play a clip from a previous guest and we get your reaction. So this kind of ties in with the music festivals. This is from last week. We had Jim Collar from the Electric City Experience on. So play this and we'll get your reaction.
Okay.
Band reaction. Band reaction.
Last year was a little bit interesting because the year it was coming back after a couple years off. Prior to the pandemic, festival decided to take a 1-year hiatus to kind of streamline things and get everything in shape. And then all of a sudden, COVID entered our world, and that took us down for another year. So last year, it was a matter of trying to recapture momentum. It was, and there was also the idea that, COVID wasn't gone yet. So we couldn't even really start to the last minute because we didn't, it took us a while to gauge whether it would even be responsible to hold an event of that scale. Once other outdoor events started hitting the schedule, and once it was interesting, we announced, and then like 3 days later, the CDC came out and said, "Well, you don't necessarily have to wear masks outside." And we're like, "Woo!" Holy relief! And so yeah. Maybe that's why this year it just seems that everything's clicking into place. Is because last year there was so many different weird things we had to account for.
What's your reaction?
Yeah, I sympathize and agree with him. It's similar stuff that we had to go through too, or any event really. You're putting on an event in 2021 or even now 2022. I mean, the safety aspect is, safety's always been a high priority and probably the number one thing. I mean, I certainly can't speak to every event company that's out there, but certainly for us. So I think with COVID, it just definitely amplifies that safety aspect, and always looking at, is this okay to do? Is this, do we feel comfortable doing this or that? Last year was, we had about 92 days to put a festival together, similar to what they went through too. And I just want to say too, I have a tremendous amount of respect for people that are putting events on, that are in this business, because it's not easy. It really is. I mean, whoever said, love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I just want to, give them a little smack at the back of the head. Cause it is work, and, but yeah, and it can be fun, but, yeah, and we all go through significant things like that where, you do have to worry about, is this the right call? Is this the right thing to do? And once you make the decision, you have to live with it, because, you can't go back. So
what is the point of no return? Like, how close to the festival would, like, for example, Milo Music, how close until there's no turning back, and regardless of what happens, the festival would have to go on? Is there like a point of no return?
I mean, there's yes and no. I mean, it's kind of hard to actually answer. Like,
Yeah,
I guess it just really depends on the situation or the scenario.
it's very hypothetical.
Yeah. I think, you know, I would I would say no. I mean, we're rolling. I always say too, when we start on Thursday and we get to that Thursday is kind of the mountain, right? At the top of the hill, and you push the ball down the hill, it's rolling, and it's not going to stop until it flattens out on Sunday. So, once you get to that point, I mean, anything could happen. I mean, it just anything could happen at any time, but positivity is the activity, so we're good.
Do you ever get sick of watching bands?
Some.
And if you go to a show, do you have to commit to staying to the whole thing?
No. I don't Wisconsin goodbye at those moments.
Is that where you just kind of disappear?
Yeah, it's like no.
You were booking shows at Fox River House,
Yeah.
as well. How was that experience? Obviously, you had a lot of bands you could contact.
Yeah, it's still going good. I'm re-signed for another year.
Is that all put together now, or are you still working on that?
Yeah, I mean we have a couple things to finish up. Was hoping to get that all out there. I'd love to release the entire lineup, but kind of have a couple more little things to button up, and then we'll be ready to release.
Any surprises that you can drop right now?
No, man. Did you like it? That's funny because there's a lot of people that I think that loved to find their Christmas gifts when they were kids, because a lot of people are like, oh, is this band, or where's is this band coming back, or is this band playing here or there? Like, just be surprised, guys. Like just
I want to just chip away at like chip away at your the shield you've got up, so I can start like getting information out of you. Like, what do I have to do?
well, that's what this was about. Okay.
Well, it's exciting. I'm excited to hear what you've got on tap for the Fox River House, because it's a great venue to watch live music. I love like a perfect summer night out in their patio section, and they remodeled that little room when you walk in there, which looks awesome.
Yeah, just it's really cool. If you haven't been there in a while, go check it out. That the whole lounge area in the back is really sweet looking, and under new ownership right now, and the 4 people that are owning it right now are legit owning it. I mean, they're really stepping up and making it a new thing, and it's always been a cool place to hang. It's been for Jess and I. We've been going there since the second day they've opened as Fox River House. 2009, I believe it was. Been going to see shows there ever since then, and so there's a little special place in my heart to be, responsible for presenting music there now. So, and it's cool, and I'm really excited to be a part of that.
What's the most surprising thing for you, being as into how the sausage is made with the festivals and the bookings around here? What's the most surprising thing that you did not know when you were interested in getting involved way back when?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. That's hard. I guess what surprised me, I don't know, that's a bit hard to answer. I mean, I guess what surprised me the most, I'd say, is just how, not growing up here, not knowing the history of the music scene here, and then now being a part of it. It's cool to see how I don't know how to say this, but just how people support each other. How they come out, they'll still see a show. Like, I see you at shows, I see, other artists at shows, and that's really cool to see. You don't typically see that in other places in the country. Growing up on the East Coast, and like I said, in Allentown, PA, I remember going to see shows when I was younger, and the music scene just wasn't there. It was just more like, oh, we're gonna go do this thing, and there's music in the background. I think the other aspect of that is what I'm surprised at here is how the audience is and treats the artists too. Like, they come out and they actually pay attention to artists, and they see them, and they become fans of the local artists, and the local music scene, they also show up to different shows, 2-3 times a week. And that's really amazing, that I see that. I'm like, wow, that's super cool that you're out supporting. We're just all supporting each other, which I think more now than ever coming out of the pandemic, it's so important to, support and uplift and champion each other. If you're an artist and you have your friend just released a record, promote them on your socials. You know, if you're a promoter, help promote other shows. If it's not yours, if it's your other friend who's a promoter, help promote them too. Because, all of us have to uplift each other and support each other. And like I said, champion each other and root for each other. That's what it's going to be about, from this moment moving forward, because we never want to go back to where we were 2 years ago. So we gotta make sure we're helping each other and helping each other stay afloat.
We've got a question came in from Bob Minter, actually.
Okay.
He says, personal preference, what is your idea of the perfect venue?
Idea of perfect venue, man. Loud, noisy. No. I guess it depends. It's a mix. I think we have to have a good, the perfect venue. I think would have to have the ability to host an artist properly. Have a decent green room. Have the ability to have, catering or some sort of food, there. Have, certainly a decent sound system. Consistency, I think, is key to everything that we do. Talking to some other, some promoters and venue owners, I said, just be consistent in what you're presenting and how you're presenting it. And, have someone there who's, a sound tech, having a consistent sound engineer so they can dial that room in properly. Treating the room with sound treatments. And I'm talking about like enclosed spaces, outdoor. Obviously, I present shows at the Fox River House, which is outdoor. So an outdoor venue is just completely different. It's its own, completely different animal there. But, I'm talking specifically for an indoor show or indoor venue. Also just, being able to have enough space for people. If you're going to do an acoustic show, make sure it's, you have chairs. Tables don't typically do well, because when you have a table and you have people around the table, they're going to talk. So kind of nix the tables. Just have chairs, have the focus be on that artist, proper lighting. So yeah, it's all important elements.
Well, thanks for the question, Bob.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
You mentioned something that I think is important. Milo Music, to set itself apart, is very art, and you mentioned it a bunch of times, very artist focused. Mm-hmm. It is set up a lot with the chairs, try to eliminate the tables to keep the focus on the artists. Have you run into problems as the festival has grown as far as trying to keep the, for lack of a better term, Oktoberfest kind of vibe, which there's nothing wrong with Oktoberfest, but has it been kind of hard to keep it artist focused and not party focused?
Yeah, it's certainly a challenge every year. I mean, it's a continued process improvement, right? Going back to lean, that's what lean really is, continuous process improvement. So that's us just constantly working on our messaging, working with our venue partners, especially those ones that are listening focused in listening rooms, those acoustic rooms. It's important. It's an important element for us to continue to have and present is that acoustic singer-songwriter, the storytellers, because we have a fan base for that. And we have amazing, talented artists from all over the world now coming here or wanting to come here. So it's important to us to reinforce that, to say, the talent, we have to respect the talent. Because again, if we're not taking care of that talent, then they're simply not going to come back. So, I like, again, nothing wrong with, Oktoberfest is their own product. The other quote unquote Wisconsin, throw the word fest on the tail end of your name, product is, there's nothing wrong with those either. That's what they do. That's not what we do. You know, we're not the Bud Light and Captain Morgan drinking type of event. We're different. That we're very music focused. It's a music first experience that we're putting on and trying to present. So I think, you know, again, just continually being in that messaging to say, you know, we need to make sure we're taking care of these artists in that way too, that they're being respected, they're being paid attention to. The full band rooms, you know, that's it becomes a little trickier because, you know, they're making noise, people are dancing, having fun. So again, just as long as, you know, you're there, I like to say just read the room. Right, you walk into a room, you know, I see this, you know, Taylor Greenwood, give him a shout out that he puts together just a really cool Tuesday night experience at the Stone Arch Tap Room. And, you know, some of the shows he has in there is listening focused. So, you know, we have to make sure that, you know, when you're walking into that room, if no one's talking, then you don't talk, you know, just read the room. If people if somebody's up there, you know, shredding a guitar and pounding on drums and people are going nuts and having fun, well, then jump in and dance and have fun. But again, you know, read the room. Yeah.
We had a question from Eric Herm, Love Fox Cities Live, by the way. He said, the perfect venue needs to be dog friendly. He's got Grace in parentheses.
Oh man, I can't believe I forgot about that. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, dog friendly venues. That's where those outdoor ones come into play.
We Midwest Music Fest.
Yeah,
You worked stage there last week.
yeah.
How was that festival? I've heard a lot about it. I've never attended though.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a very cool thing they have going on up there. I was in Winona, Minnesota, which was their first one. Their next one will be in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which will be in September 16th and 17th.
So they do 2 shows a year or 2 festivals a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a cool little micro festival. I mean, it was my first time being in that part of the world and my first time, you know, being at that festival. And, you know, I was very fortunate and it was a cool experience to volunteer with them and to kind of get to see what they do and how they do it. And, you know, they focus mainly on regional bands, hence the name Midwest Music Fest, but they had a few from Nashville come up. And then, you know, primarily the bands were from, you know, the Twin Cities or Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Iowa. So it was a cool experience. I really enjoyed it.
So which bands did you see there that you're going to bring to Milo Music?
Trying to think who we had there that were coming. I don't think anybody.
Are you holding back on me, Ian?
No, I'm trying to, just off the top of my head, I'm just trying to scan through their lineup in my head. And yeah, no one.
There was a band that I liked. I saw on the list called Scrunchies, who I really liked. I mean, maybe
I did not see them. Because working the stage, I mean, I was supposed to work the main stage at the Levy Park area, which was outdoor. And then we got, I think, 2-3 shows in there on Friday night until it really, like, the winds picked up. And by the way, they got the shows in while it was drizzling on the main stage. So it wasn't as bad. It was just a light drizzle. They got the shows in. But then the winds picked up off the river and they lost the stage. So Saturday, essentially the main stage got moved to a brewery, and that's kind of where I was parked all day.
Nice.
So, but it was cool. Just the bands that came through there. That's what I got. So,
Milo Music's been hit by some weather with some storms, and last year got a big one that came right when the festival was ending on the Sunday. But I think they had one Saturday night as well.
Yeah,
some of the stages got canceled.
Yeah, Saturday was pretty much an all day rain, all day washout. You know, again, you know, I'm just trying to champion that if we can go in the rain, if it's safe, and if, you know, the sound techs and who's running that stage feel that it can go, if it's covered and it can go, then I think we go. Again, going back to my point of, you go see the football team in all kinds of weather, so come see music. And again, as long as the artists are safe, you know, and I know water and electricity don't always mix, but, you know, if they're safe, they're comfortable going, sound techs are comfortable going, and you know, because some of those stages that we do have, we were able to, like Jones Park, it has about a 4.5 to 5 foot radius that doesn't get wet because that overhang, so that they're able to pull everything and condense the stage down. They're able to squeeze everything in. So we could go there, and we got, I think it was, we ran 4 stages and got 2 acts on each stage last year before the lightning came. Once lightning comes, I mean, then you're
Yeah.
done, and that's it. So, but then we go inside, we have some fun inside.
How do you feel about micro categorizing music? Because I was looking at the Midwest Fest lineup and it got me thinking, each band, when they submit, typically will put what genre they are. I saw synth dance party, experimental indie pop, jazzy indie rock, experimental synth pop, bedroom pop, indie country, sludge rock, dream gaze, MTV alt rock, math rock, smoky Americana, experimental psych rock, shoegaze, and interdimensional electric jazz. How do you feel about all these micro genres? Does it get kind of, is it each band trying to set themselves apart with like a, their own special genre? And how, when you look at something like that, I mean, do you just wish it was kind of the traditional categories, or
I mean, I just think, does it
do you see a lot of bands and then disagree with what they label themselves as?
so to me, it's, I would say, like, does the music hit you? Do you feel it? And if you do, does it matter what it's called then? I mean, I don't like genres. It's just a label. It's like, well, what are you wearing today? Oh, I'm wearing, blah blah blah. It is, excuse me, being a manager, I understand that, labeling yourself, it's all about PR. What you are, how you present, like who, getting yourself out, selling yourself. It's your brand. You as an artist or a musician are a business. So you got to make sure you're presenting yourself a certain way, and I get it, but I also just think too, as a fan, like, if it hits you and it feels good, then just enjoy it. I forget what that exactly what that Bob Marley quote is, but it's something about, like, if the music hits you and you feel no pain, then just go out and enjoy it. Because I think sometimes genres can turn people off too, because they're so programmed to, we get this too on the festival side. It's, well, I only like rock music. Well, okay. And then they're only going to go to those artists that are labeled as rock, but then they're missing out on so many more, discover bands that that you don't know, but you should, right? And they're going to miss out on that if they're just pinpointing themselves in one genre, if they're only liking one thing.
We've got some questions here.
Oh, nice.
Jerry asks, he's got 3 questions, so
three-parter or just 3 separate?
Looks like 3 separate. First one, has the percentage of local bands playing each year since the beginning stayed the same?
It's actually gone up. So we look at, since 2019, we were committed to making about, I say about because, it could be 0.5% or off, but we're committed to making 40% of our lineup Wisconsin based. So it's not just, it's local and Wisconsin artists. So it's, from Green Bay to, Fox Valley, as well as, Madison, Eau Claire, Milwaukee, all points in between. So 40% of our lineup is Wisconsin based.
Second question, what, if anything, have you stolen from other festivals and incorporated into Mile?
Well, I don't think stolen's a good word, because I think
stolen is in parentheses on the question.
Okay. Because I think, I think we all borrow from each other, right? When, the festival industry ecosystem, right? The music industry ecosystem in of itself is small. It's large, but also small. There's a lot of connections. So we all borrow from each other, and that's a part of, when I go to travel to other festivals, I'm looking at, oh, that's really cool what they're doing. And, oh, I see, they're placing their banners a certain way, and, or they're bringing these elements in. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's part of why I travel, because I'm looking at what other things are happening, again, whether it's in this country or other countries too, or on the water.
On the water.
Well, I go to a music festival on the water, so
That's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
mean, and then before we get to the third question, is it different? I mean, some of those ships are like cities in of themselves. Is it
yeah.
like is the experience seeing live music on a ship like way different than seeing it like downtown?
I mean, it can be because you're in the middle of the ocean. So, I mean, when I'm on those things, excuse me, it really, I've done it 4 times. I've worked on them. So I've done work for the company, 6-man, as a contract worker, and to be able to be a part of that is special for me personally. And I've, my personal reasons there, but you feel so insignificant as a human being when you look out and there's just nothing but water. And when you're watching a band on the main stage and right behind you is the sun setting, like literally the sun is disappearing into the ocean. It's an incredible view, an incredible feeling. But, these ships, it's basically Milo music on the water. 6-man, and like Milo Music, has done such a great job at making community and connecting community for each event that they present, and just what they do is pretty cool, and able to bring some of those elements and artists back to Appleton.
The third question, love the Milo Music app. Any changes to the app this year? Great questions. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Trying to think. I mean, without actually pulling it up. No, I think, yeah, the app. I got to give a shout out to Core BTS. They're the company that puts the app together. They, developed it from scratch. Continue to work on it. I think one of the biggest changes that we incorporated, that I can think of off the top of my head here, is when you go into the artist page. There's, I think, at the bottom, when you're looking at the artist, there's going to be like a Discover tab, and it's the Spotify logo. So it will take you directly to our official Spotify playlist right from that, right within the app, which I think is really cool.
The app is such an important part for many for the Milo experience, Milo Music experience. Do you find that the app is sort of taking away the need for paper schedules, or do you still see a demand for the paper?
What's paper? I think just that's, again, that's just where we've evolved as a society, right? As humans, everything is mobile based, is app based. So I think
The paper ones aren't going to go away, though, are they?
I would like them to, but no, I don't think they will. I think, the app is always going to be your best way. It's always going to be the most up to date. The paper, once it's printed, and if there's any changes, I mean, it's not going to be effective on the piece of paper. So the app is going to be your best way to look, and it's going to be your best avenue. So download the app and just check that out. So it'll have everything that you need is right there.
And are you getting a call over there?
Probably. maybe somebody's calling in to me for questions. Oh, it's probably spam. Selling me a warranty.
So you mentioned Adrian and Meredith.
Yes.
And we didn't really get too far into that, but you managed that band.
Yeah.
They're from the Green Bay area originally?
Well, Adrian, Midwest. Adrian's originally from Stevens Point, and Meredith is originally from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
How did you get synced up with the band, and how did you get it into the position where you wanted to take on a manager position with them?
I think just through getting to know them, as people and becoming friends with them, from their time playing Milo music and then their time, just playing shows in Appleton, because of their family ties to Wisconsin and Michigan. They play the Midwest quite often. And it was probably the summer of 2019. I took a little weekend getaway down to Louisville, which, by the way, is a fantastic city. It's got a really cool culinary scene there, and I just kind of really like that city a lot. So Adrian and Meredith came up and kind of took me to dinner and pitched this idea of me managing them, in which I said no. I said, "There's no way. I've never done it before, and also this is your life, and I'm not gonna completely mess that up." But they wanted to manage. They wanted me to manage them. I think because I've never managed before, because we could grow together, and they also appreciated my work ethic and my tenacity through Mile of Music, and thought that that would be a good fit, for them as well. And also, I'm just happy they were willing to take a chance, and they're a duo or couple that takes chances and usually works out. So really happy for them, and it's kind of expanded. So now I've Megan Slankard, who I manage, co-manage now with Casey Turner. Similar conversation. She reached out to me in March of last year and said she needed some help with some things, and kind of led into a co-management role with her. So that's been fun too.
Has that sort of given you a different perspective on the band side, how the bands operate?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're probably approached from all different angles for Mile of Music. And for bands that might be watching, how can a band get involved in Mile of Music 10 next year? Because I think 9, the submission was open for like a day.
Yeah,
like
it goes quick.
Has even the demand out to submit, has that just spiked up through the roof as the festival's gained traction?
Yeah, for sure. We've, because of our growth, because of the brand and how it's grown into what it is today, the submission process, it's almost like we don't need the submissions anymore. We still have them. I think they're a cool component of it, but over the years we've kind of lessened how many we take, because it does become cumbersome to try to sift through so many artists, and it does take up a tremendous amount of time. We start, we're kind of back on schedule, post COVID, back on schedule to be in line with the summer festival booking season, which typically runs late September through, mid to late February. So we were back on schedule with that. So when we, put out a submission process in November, we're already kind of deep into the booking process of the festival. And then we have, you've done it in the past. I've been on the submission team, and, just trying to have these people take time out of their lives to sift through and listen and rank hundreds of artists. I don't get those back till almost the end of February. And at that point, we're almost done. So, we have to start looking at ways that, if we condense it, we're also not taking as many from those submission lists either. We take mainly, 5 to 10, maybe 15 tops out of, a total. Like this year we had 150. So we're only taking about 15 artists out of that. I think if you're a returning artist, you've already played it, you already know how to get a hold of me or us. So you know what to do. Yeah, I think it's, we also have kind of that whole line out the door, so to speak, where we have artists and their agents and their management teams, being on the management side, you're constantly looking at other festivals or plays for your artists and where they can go, or just that word of mouth. Like I said, when I go to Folk Alliance International Conference, I've done it in the past few years, and I'm going to be there in the next 2 weeks. I'm just blown away by, I have artists from New Zealand and Australia sitting down to talk with me about Appleton and Milo music, because they've heard of it through whether they toured the States or they toured Canada, and they toured with someone else who's played here, and they're like, where should we play? Well, you got to go to Milo Music. You got to go to Appleton. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. What differences or what changes are going to take place at Mile this year? Anything different from previous Mile Musics?
I think that I don't know. I think that we're still going to have, an amazing festival. You're going to discover some really cool new artists. Hoping to have some writer rows this year. Kind of plan on that. Hoping to have some other, unique surprises, in terms of the lineup. I'm hoping, like I said earlier, hoping that, we have a lot of friends coming this year. So I'm hoping that they can jump up and collaborate and play. Yeah, it's just going to be fun.
Well, Ian, I want to thank you for sitting down with me today on Fox Cities Core.
Yeah, man, that's been fun.
So,
we're out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time already. It's it's been interesting hearing a little bit more about your early years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited for the festival. You didn't drop a whole lot of secrets, but if people want to learn more about the festival and stay on top of everything that's going on, would you suggest just following the festival on Facebook and Instagram, just all the socials?
Yeah, all the socials.
Or be a music maker.
Yeah, or be a music maker. Get out there, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, as the kids say, or smash the subscribe button. But yeah, all the socials. We're on TikTok now. If some of you love that.
What's a TikTok?
Oh, that's a whole nother hour of discussion, man. But yeah, definitely follow along the socials and the app.